5 to 10 minutes. It's Houston Astros, Tampa Bay Rays. This is game number 6 here, Chris. And, Houston battling back in this series. Tampa Bay will send Snell. It'll be Valdez here for Houston. The Rays favorite here, $1.25. Total sits here at 8. We've seen pretty much all the games go under the total.
And that we have, and I think we have another solid pitching performance in line from both starters here. I mean, Tampa Bay wouldn't want anyone else but Snell, I think, on the mound in this spot. He's the staff ace, and Javier, he's a young pitcher for the Astros, but he's only given up 2 runs in each of his last 2 starts for the Astros, and I'm starting to realize how yes, you have young guys that may be affected by the big moment, but they're at the end of the day, these guys are still all professionals, and they live for moments like these, and moments like these you dream of when you're growing up and hoping that one day you'll play in the big leagues.
Yeah, absolutely, no doubt about that. Of course, Joe, these playoffs have been pretty exciting. How's the action been going in Vegas here with these?
Vegas is going crazy. The NBA just ended. We still have there's still a lot of baseball to be played in these series before we go to the Fall Classic, to the World Series, and obviously I think we're very excited that very shortly we're going to be having a couple of new conferences in college football. And to be honest with you, I believe it was Shanahan in the NFL that said something very smart this past week. He said, guys, we got 4 games behind us. So now we played our preseason. We could get ahead of, we could start playing regular football. And if you've noticed, it seems, Tony, in the NFL that, and Chris, that, without the preseason and a lot of these teams that weren't having live scrimmages and whatnot, a lot of soft tissue injuries. I mean, I'm not talking about Dak Prescott where he got hit and broke his ankle, but we're talking about a lot of soft tissue injuries, a lot of Achilles injuries, a lot of situations like that. Because a lot of these guys in the NFL and even in college football weren't in shape. So we've got 5 weeks behind us, and we've got some new conferences in college football. A lot of baseball to be played. I think it's going to be a great couple of weeks right now, Tony and Chris.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to it as well here, guys. This is the drive-thru. We're here Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern time. A lot of games to cover. We talked about the game that's starting in 5 minutes. I was going to lean toward the under in this one with Valdez on the hill and Snell as the Astros try to extend this series, hopefully for them to make it into a 7-game series. Chris, what happens here if we go 7? Tampa Bay with that big lead, and we could see them blowing it away.
I'm going to say it right now that if we go to a Game 7, you will not hear me say the Tampa Bay Rays for the rest of this series, because they've had their chances to put the Astros away. And having a playoff experienced team like the Houston Astros and giving them a bunch of momentum coming back from 2 games down already, that's not a spot you want to be. And you go to a Game 7 winner take all where all hands are on deck. I'm going to take the team that has the playoff experience and the experience for being in those high-pressure situations, and that's where I'll probably lean towards the Astros. But as far as tonight goes, I think you got to hope that Tampa Bay puts them away, and if not, then you know where my head's at for Game 7.
Absolutely. All right, the drive-through, guys. We got a lot of picks coming. We'll get to that Dodger game. We got 2 football games today, college football. We'll have that coverage as well. We'll take a look at our guest lineup for today as we've got Jeff Jeter. We got NASCAR. We're going to get an SEC college football game out of it. Of course, Joe D'Amico, our co-host for today, as well as we got Goran. Again, I'm filling his plate up again. He's coming in with a pick, but we're going to talk some Premier League, and I know Chris Ruffalo has some strong opinions in that as well. One of my co-hosts for today. We'll talk some college football, and of course we'll get cut in NFL as well. Joe Duffy will be our leadoff hitter for today's show. We got Duffy there, but we got to get him in that center square. I got to remember that, though. That's something I've always messed up.
I want Paul in.
He's much younger than you. You're much younger than Charlie Weaver and much younger than Goebel,
That is true. That's true. I'm going to work on my Paul Lynn voice, though.
All right, we got to get that Paul Lynn voice. And, of course, Brian Bittler is here at the table here. Bittler having a really good college football season. So he's solid with the play today from college football. So we'll have a big show lined up for us as always. And, of course, it's time to get the show started. And speaking of our buddy Joe Duffy, our leadoff hitter, ready to get on base for us with a winner is our man Joe Duffy. And let me get the numbers here. Here we go. Joe, how you doing today?
I'm doing pretty well. It's time to pick some winners. I do have a very, very big weekend in store. We'll maybe talk about that a little bit later. But yeah, things are going to be very big this weekend, and I'll have a free winner on this report.
All right, absolutely. Of course, we got a game starting here with this Astros Race. You've been keeping tabs on this series?
Yeah, for the most part, baseball has been a momentum sport. We've also done pretty well with some of our mathematical totals. Most of them lean towards the under, and even when we didn't have the under, we probably should have bet the over. So, it's been a pretty decent playoffs. But, yeah, I would have to agree with what Chris said. You kind of get with the experience if it does go to a Game 7. But still, all in all, I'll just take the more talented team. And I guess at the very least, Houston has been able to say that, stop talking about us cheating. We've at least shown that we're one of the better teams in Major League Baseball. And I guess even when they're not stealing signals, they're a pretty dangerous team.
Yeah, they certainly are. All right, Joe, you're going to be taking a look at this Bears and Panthers game. Of course, the Panthers opened. I saw them around 3 to 2.5. It's come down here to Carolina at -1. Of course, Teddy Bridgewater is getting the job done at quarterback. The Bears, you look at some of their offensive numbers, are pretty crooked, but the record's pretty good. How do you see this one?
Yeah, but I've always been a big Teddy Bridgewater guy, and that's why I think we've become so obsessed with fantasy football type stats where we love these high-powered offenses. I don't. That's why I've always loved, Russell Wilson. I was on his bandwagon. Finally, the rest of the world is agreeing and realizing he's one of the best quarterbacks of our era. That I don't necessarily look for guys that can whip the ball down the field like Drew Brees. Not to say that Drew Brees isn't one of the better quarterbacks I've seen, but I just like guys that keep the chains moving. And Teddy Bridgewater is so efficient. So I think he continues to sneak under the radar. In fact, they've only been favored, I think, once this year. They've obviously more than exceeded their expectations, but not necessarily mine, because like I said, I've been a Teddy guy all along. Used to be one of the great systems in sports, somewhat leveled off for a couple years, but now is back in a nice groove, fading quality teams off of a win as a home underdog, a very solid 121, 70-4, and that would favor Carolina's. Of course, Chicago won that crazy Thursday night game against Tampa Bay. Yeah, the Bears are fairly healthy, except it looks like Deion Bush, key man in the secondary, is going to be out. I just really like Carolina. They're doing very well. They rank very high, both running and catching, yards after catch, and especially when it comes to receiving, because like I say, Bridgewater is not necessarily a guy that can whip the ball down the field, but he's very efficient. He's one of the better short yard passers, and he wants these guys that can definitely make plays, and he's got one of the better receiving corps with Robbie Anderson and DJ Moore. And like I said, they're third in the NFL in yards after contact. And with Mike Davis, they have a very solid running game. But when you look at the numbers, the Bears, they're averaging only 5.7 yards per pass. The team's normally allowing 7.1, 5.1 yards per play to 5.8. Chicago, when you look at their net numbers, they are actually in a deficit. They have fewer net yards than they have net yards given up. They've given up they allow 344 yards per game, and they're only getting 323, yet they're 4-1 straight up. The Panthers are getting 399.6 yards per game, and they allow only 355.6. So I've said time and time again, when it comes to handicapping, straight-up records can be some of the most deceiving. I don't think Chicago is as good as the record indicates. And, in fact, Carolina is only the very small favorite. Again, we've talked about it probably every week. Of course, home field advantage is no longer worth 3 points in the empty stadiums. But I think Carolina, you can make an argument, is the better team. Look, Nick Foles, he's one of the I don't think anyone can figure out Nick Foles. At times, he looks like he should be a third-string quarterback. At other times, looks like and obviously he's a pretty nice group. But I just think Carolina is possibly the better team, and they're only laying a point at home. So I do like the Panthers here.
Yeah, it's hard to argue that one. Chris, looking at this Panthers team, McCaffrey goes down, but Mike Davis was a capable runner. Wasn't had an off season last year, but 2 seasons ago put up some pretty good numbers for when he was a running back.
No, absolutely did, and I was a Teddy Bridgewater guy myself. At the beginning of the season, when I saw that Bridgewater was headed to Carolina under Matt Rule, I was like, okay, maybe the Panthers are starting to shift, and we're going to see a new era in Carolina. Personally, for me, for this one, I mean, I can't argue with any of the points Joe made, but just personally, I like Bridgewater better as a dog. I mean, 20-4 against the spread when we're getting points with Bridgewater, so. I mean, that's where I stand with Teddy, and Carolina 3 in their last 7 against the spread as a favorite. But I also noticed something a little bit. I'm been a little bit trends based on my own in this game. and since 2017, I know it's road dogs of 2 points or less, 26-7 against the spread and straight up. I mean, it'll be interesting to see how many wins Nick Foles actually gets without Tom Brady on the other sideline. But I mean, for me, I'm leaning towards the Bears in this one. But again, Duffy's doing a good job of convincing me to maybe go the other way in this one.
I might have to go all the way. All right, Joe Duffy, join us here on the drive-through here, looking at this Bears side. I mean, it's tough with that quarterback situation over there.
Yeah, there's no question. Look, I'm one of these guys that I was sort of kind of a Mitch Trubisky guy in that if I were the offensive coordinator, I would have had him running all the time. I mean, I'd have him run first. And, I go back to the old baseball adage where 90% of the game's half mental. And you talk about in football where, the run sets up the pass. I think Mitch Trubisky could be one of the better running quarterbacks in the NFL. And not only that, if he had a good running game, it could really open up his confidence for a passing game. So it's one of those, if I'm an offensive coordinator out there and I need a quarterback, I'd probably take a chance on Trubisky. But the case with Foles, I mean, look, in his 2 stints with Philadelphia, his first stint with Philadelphia, not where he won the Super Bowl, but he shattered records in that 5 or 7 game span when he took over for Mike Vick. So, I will say go against Nick Foles at your own risk, but in a battle of 2 of the most underrated quarterbacks in the NFL, I still think that Teddy is the more underrated and more underappreciated. He's very good at protecting the ball, and he just gets the job done. Like I said, if I were a fantasy football player, he's not going to be one of the top 10 guys I would draft, but this isn't about fantasy football. And I think when you have a guy like Teddy Bridgewater, your defensive numbers are always going to be better because your defense isn't going to be on the field quite as much.
Right, and Coach, so you look at the Bears' rushing attack, 35 yards against the Bucs, 28 against the Colts, all at home. They're 29th in the league in third down, 25th in the red zone. Not much downfield passing for Foles. He's actually 6 yards per pass attempt. That's worse than Trubisky, Joe.
Right, no, and like I said, okay, that Joe. No, go ahead, the other Joe. Go ahead.
We have one too many Joes. Go ahead, Joseph. I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say, like I said, if you take a look at those advanced numbers, I especially like to look at yards per pass, yards per rush, and yards per play relative to what a team normally allows. And then if you just look at the total yards given up and the total yards made, you'd be like, Chicago should be under 500 based on those numbers, and they're clearly not. So I do think that you could argue the Bears have the single most deceptive straight-up record in the NFL, and I like to fade teams that have a deceptive straight-up record, or conversely, like to ride teams with a deceptive straight-up record where the numbers imply they're better than the record is.
All right, Joe D'Amico, what was your thoughts on this one?
Well, I'll be honest. I think Joe made a lot of good points, and what I think about this game is obviously the Bears. Their secondary hasn't given us too many. They're one of the best teams in the NFL at not allowing the opposing team in the end zone through the pass, and without a real running game with Carolina, Christian McCaffrey is out, and despite that, they still won 3 games. Carolina, they have to put the ball on the ground. I think Teddy Bridgewater's legs have to do quite a bit of work here. They got to pass off the run. I agree with Joe a lot here. I still think, as Joe Duffy mentioned, that this is a very deceiving record with the Bears. I mean, yeah, I think they got a little bit of luck. I unlike Joe, I will disagree for the first time this season. I'm not a big Trubisky fan. I think Nick Foles brings a little bit more of a mental game. He's a smarter quarterback. Obviously, Trubisky's a little more athletic, but I think Nick Foles brings a whole different dynamic to it. And it's you got to as far as Carolina and their defense, they've got to obviously prep for Foles this week. But the fact that they've won 3 straight games without Christian McCaffrey, who's one of the more important guys to his teams in the NFL, I think that says a lot about Carolina. I'll be honest. I'm not a Bears fan. I'm going to keep riding against them. If I got to go this game, I agree with Joseph.
All right, Joe D'Amico here. Join us here on the drive-thru. Of course, as we approach the bottom of the hour, just quarter after the hour here. Joe Duffy, what do you have going on over at Pig Dogs Premium?
We do have one of the college football totals for tonight. Tomorrow, I just uploaded the plays. Wanted to make sure I had them up in time for the broadcast. I think I have 7 college football winners for tomorrow, I believe, including the SEC total of the year. Like I say, it's very rare that I have such a big play on a high-profile game, but that does include my biggest play is on the Alabama-Georgia game. You have 7 winners, and it looks like I am all but certain to have my NFL game of the year this weekend. So many things pointing towards one team, but we already do have the college football card up for Saturday. You can grab it right now.
All right, guys, check him out, Joe Duffy over at Pig Dogs Premium. We got that up there for you, Joe. The 3-day, 7-day, 30-day all sports pass. Pick one of those. That's the best way to go, right?
It is. It is. Like I said, not a lot of things have gone right in anything with 2020, but I've got a career that says, look, I'm going to win a whole lot more than I'm going to lose, and this is truly college and NFL combined. And I guess it helps that we have more college games to choose from, but this is truly the best weekend of the year as far as the most excited I've been as far as the number and quality of winners.
That's right. So check out Joe Duffy over at Pig Dogs Premium. Pick up one of those all 30-day passes at the site and get on board and get into winning with Joe Duffy. All right, Joe, it's always great having you on the show. Have a great weekend, and we will talk with you next week.
All right. We will talk to you, gentlemen. Thank you.
All right, everybody. Joe Duffy here on the Drive Thru. Back here with Joe D'Amico and Chris Ruffalo. It's time to look at this game here. Dodgers and Braves. Dodger fans holding their. Can they get eliminated here before we get in the World Series again? Will it be another ouster here? We've got the pitching matchup here. It's May and Minter. It looks like Atlanta's going with a bullpen game. Dodgers huge favorites here, about $1.80 to $1.90. Total sits here at 9. Of course, the Braves have it set up pretty good, Chris. I mean, you can bring in make a bullpen game here, then you get Fried and Ian Anderson on full rest.
Absolutely. I mean, I don't expect Dustin May to make it easy on anybody. I mean, this kid throws 100 with regular consistency, and he doesn't choke around when he's on the mound. And that's our kind of our running gag on the morning show. Say it looks like Bozo the Clown, but he doesn't make anybody laugh when he's on the mound. I'll tell you that much. But you know what? I still like the way Atlanta's been playing. You know what the thing is? You go into yesterday thinking that you're gonna throw Bryce Wilson on the mound. He gives you 5 solid innings, and then all of a sudden you pull out a 10-2 rout over a Dodgers team that, for all intents and purposes, yeah, Kershaw's had his issues in the past, but that was the Dodgers firing their best shot at Atlanta, and Atlanta won by 8 runs and put up a 10 spot. It was just. This Atlanta team is not a team I want to step in front of right now. I think they're brimming with confidence. And Tony, it's like you said, worst case scenario, you deal a bullpen game today, and then you get your 2 best pitchers on the mound for game 6 and possibly 7. Atlanta's going to be a team to watch out for, and I think there's going to be a ton of value with them down the stretch.
Joe, a lot of people really didn't give, I think, the Braves enough credit in this series. If you look at their numbers, I mean, they're 1 and 2 in the hit batting average. In the runs scored category, the home run category, meaning neither the Dodgers are 1, Braves are 2. I mean, they're not really giving the Braves a lot of credit, I think, for their offensive production.
Well, Tony, I'll tell you, all year round, Atlanta has played some of the most consistent baseball. And not taking anything away from the Dodgers, I mean, their numbers speak for themselves, both on the mound and at the plate. However, all year round, we have been talking about how Atlanta's been playing consistent. And the Dodgers, they're a great regular season team. They're a great regular season team. Well, they got 23, 28 pennants, but the last time they won a World Series was, 88? Listen, always a bridesmaid, never a bride. The last 2 years, say what you want about the Houston Astros, they still beat them. They still got to put runs on the board. They still got to stop the Dodgers from scoring. The year before, they lose again. I just think listen, there are money players and there are fun players. The Dodgers are fun players. The one thing and this is why I stood away tonight, Chris and Tony, is because Atlanta seemed, when they threw Minter in there late today, I felt maybe they were thinking, okay, fine, let's make sure we have our best 2 pitchers coming up the next 2 games in case we go 6 and 7. And maybe this was a throwaway game. Not that they're looking to throw this away. They're certainly hot. They've got the 3 out of 4 already. But if Atlanta was going to lose a game, I think this is it. And I stood away from this game because I've been preaching Atlanta all year round. I am not a big Dodgers fan. And once again, Tony, there are money players and there are fun players. There are guys that you want at bottom of the 9th at the plate in any game. There are guys you want to take the last shot up in a basketball game with the second on the clock. That's how it is. There are certain quarterbacks you want pinned on your own 10-yard line, 90 yards with a minute and a half. There are certain quarterbacks that look in the huddle and say, we are going to score on this damn drive. And the other 10 guys in the huddle look at them, they know they're going to score. I just don't think the Dodgers, as good as they are, have the heart or the character to win. But if they were going to win, it would be tonight. I felt Atlanta's lining up their next 2 pitchers for that reason.
All right, I kind of lean it over in this one. Which way are you looking in this one, Chris?
I'll tell you this much. I had bets on the Atlanta Braves on the money line this morning, and that was with Josh Tomlin as the name that was slated in at that point. And if I'm going to take money line with the Atlanta Braves with a Christmas tree and a baseball jersey on the mound, you can probably bet that I'm going to take them with Minter on the mound. Now, I'm all in on the Braves. I think this is where it seems like the most winnable spot for the Dodgers. So I think that this is where it's going to sort of defy logic, and that this is where the Dodgers stumble.
All right, we're on the drive-through, guys. Still a lot of picks coming. We've got the we're going to have one right now. We're going to look at. We're going to bring in. We've got him here, Joe D'Amico. You're going to be looking at this game here coming up at 9 Eastern between BYU and the Houston Cougars. The two Cougars going at it. We're seeing BYU favored in this one by either 3.5. There is a 3 out there now, so I am seeing 3 totals around 61.5. I know the graphic is going to show a different number, but you can either get 3 or 3.5 when you're out there shopping. And of course, BYU out to a great start to the season, a lot of offense. Of course, Houston kicked off the season last week and fell behind, but with a lot of turnovers, were able to come back in that second half and pull out a convincing win. Joe, how do you see this one?
Well, absolutely. And Tony, I don't know if you and our listeners and viewers are keeping score, but right here on the 3 p.m. Pick Dog Show, I believe my free games are on a 19-7 or 20-7 run. Tonight, 3 big winners, 2 college and a pro. I'm going to sweep the board. Let's talk this game. There was some Houston money that came in, and I'll be honest with you, this is some wise guy money that came in. Sports fans, the fact that BYU had a close game with a lesser opponent in UTSA this past week will actually make the BYU Cougars a better team this week. It helps them to work out those areas that need attention, especially playing a better team like Houston. Now, perhaps they have played a bit of a light schedule, folks, but they still have 4 games under their belt, including 3 contests over the last 3 weeks to sharpen their skills. As everyone knows, due to current health situation, Houston had to endure 4 cancellations and 1 postponement. And as expected in their first outing, the Houston Cougars were rusty. They turned the ball over 5 times against the Tulane Green Wave, which they allowed to put up a whopping 31 points on them. Now, BYU, as everybody knows, owns a very well-balanced offense that I feel is going to keep Houston on their toes and on their heels come the second half. Quarterback Zach Wilson, he's on a record-setting pace, 1,241 yards passing, 8-to-1 ratio. Guys, he has the offense running like a Swiss clock. This is a huge step up in class for Houston. On the opposite side of the ball, expect BYU to force as many or more turnovers than Tulane did a week ago. A couple of against the spread numbers. BYU 8-2 the last 10 following an ATS win and 11-5 the last 16 on the road. Guys, the Cougars get it done here. If you can find that 3, get it. I will tell you this. I like this game at a 4.5. I like it more at a 3.5. If you gotta buy it down, buy it down. Just err on the side of caution for the extra few cents. But I think BYU and the fact that they've been on the field several times, 4 times, while Houston has only been on the field once, it is going to make a big difference, especially in the line of scrimmage where you're going to see a lot of, I mean, if you're going to see just them going back and forth. BYU's got some big guys on both sides of the line of scrimmage, not taking anything away from Houston, but I still don't think Houston is the team they were when they had De'Ara King. I think he was a big part of their offense, not taking anything away from them, but BYU is in game shape. They've had 4 games to play. Houston had 1, and they played Tulane Green Wave. Let's face it, guys, this isn't the greatest team of all time. And I will tell you this. I think they're in for a rude awakening, Houston, tonight. BYU, Cougars, take them. It'll pay off, folks.
You know, Chris, I always had a tough time last season after King left to back Clayton Tune. He just seemed to be too erratic. I didn't really like. I don't care for him here in this situation. But one thing I noticed with BYU is sometimes when they take on these teams that can spread the field, get their linebackers off the line of scrimmage, they can have some issues. I've seen them against Pac-12 teams where sometimes like a Washington State or some of these teams are able to get points on them because they're able to spread them out. But how do you see this matchup?
You know what? I was joking around earlier in the week. I said anytime you can watch, 2 Cougars go back to back in a fight, whether it be on the football field or not, it's always going to be a good time. But you know what? This is a great game to sort of kick off our weekend. I was having a hard time picking a side, and to be quite honest with you, I was leaning on the other side in this one. I think that with Houston, BYU had a wake up call against UTSA last week, and whether or not it was sort of a bit of a look-ahead spot for BYU, that's something to consider. But, I mean, yes, Houston fell behind early to Tulane, and big. And I'm not going to lie to you, I had Tulane in that game. I had Tulane on the money line because I thought Houston was going to come out rusty. And for all intents and purposes, they did. They were down 24-7. But then you kind of saw something snap with the Cougars. Dana Holgerson woke up. And by the end of the game, we're looking at a 49-31 scoreline. Now, Houston's never going to be a solid team defensively. They're never going to lead the nation in defensive yardage and scoring defense. But, they can still put points up in bunches. I think BYU, as good of a team as they are, that performance against UTSA, albeit a win, was still a little bit of a wake-up call. I think Houston's going to come into this one, know what they have on their plate, and I think they're going to at least try to keep it within the number, if not have a chance to win it outright. I think it's just going to come down to whoever has the ball last.
All right, that's Christopher Flo here on the drive. They're joined by Joe D'Amico here. And Joe, of course, we got a big football weekend coming up as we hit the bottom of the hour. What can they find? What will you have up at Pig Dogs Premium?
Well, Tony, Chris, sports fans, every weekend this football season, I have made you a profit. The only difference about this weekend is I'm not just going to make you a profit. I'm going to make you a truckload of cash. Saturday, huge card, my Big 12 game of the month. Last month, I had an easy winner with Baylor in my Big 12 game of the month. I own the Big 12. Once again tomorrow, I will prove it. This one is even stronger here. I also have my 58, 21-1 touchdown play, my 24-4 odds makers mistake, and my 18-3 sky's the limit. And it just doesn't end there, folks. Sunday, it's going to rain money. You don't need an umbrella. It's going to rain money, guys. Get wet with cash. 56-12 Las Vegas strip move, my 18-4-1 bookie buster, my AFC North total of the month, my 91% high roller, my 3-1 touchdown play. They're already 3-1 this season. 2-0 Annihilator, and my NFC West game of the month. This is the most explosive Sunday NFL card I've had in years. So strong, I'm going to have a 7-game discounted guarantee package for everybody. Guys, get a 3-day, a 7-day, or a 30-day package if you want. It will pay for itself in 1 or 2 days, and the rest is icing. All my weekend winners, because I want you to know, Tony and I talk about this every week or every day on the show, is I deal a lot with line movements. I know where some of the smart money, the wise guy money is going to go. The money is going to move another half a point or a point on some of the teams I'm going to be posting tomorrow and Sunday, quite a few of them. So all my games will be up about 2 to 3 hours after this show ends right here at Pictooks. Guys, I promise you this. If you follow me this weekend, you're going to follow me all the way to the bank. That's a promise, guys.
That's right. So check out Joe D'Amico over at Pig Dogs Premium. Pick up his pass. Actually, why not pick up a 7-day or 3-day all sports pass now available over at Pig Dogs. Get in with the winner here, Joe D'Amico over at the Pig Dogs Premium side. All right, continue here on the drive-thru, guys. We'll take you up to the top of the hour. A lot more picks coming up. Chris, we have a game in progress here. I know we focused a lot on this baseball game, and we have this SMU Tulane game. I've been keeping tabs of 7-7. Each team scoring in their first drive.
Yeah, I think if you were to lean towards an over tonight, it would probably be this one. I mean, Tulane, I swear, the three of us, we could probably get a few of the panelists and a couple people maybe from the comment section. We could play both ways, play 11 aside both ways against Tulane, and we'd still find a way to hang 30 or 40 points on the green wave. I mean, this team just does not play defense. And you look at especially what SMU's done to start the year. They lead the nation in yardage, total yardage, averaging 44 points a game. I think 7-7 is just a little bit of a feeling out process right now. I think you can probably – I haven't looked at the end game just yet because it's still early, but I think you can still bet the Mustangs up to almost double digits here. I feel that they're a strong play for tonight's card.
All right, take a look at the Mustangs here in this one. All right, continue here on the drive-thru. Chris, you're up to the plate here. You're going to be looking at an NFL game between the Falcons and Vikings. We're seeing here Minnesota 4-point favorite, total of 54. Of course, Atlanta, a desperate team looking for that first win. And you always got a concern here with Dalvin Cook's status.
Yeah, I mean, Dalvin Cook is a massive, massive loss to that Minnesota team, but even with that loss, I tried to make a case for the Falcons to myself all week. The problem is it just hasn't happened. I mean, this is a Falcons team that appears to have mailed it in even after just 5 games to start the year. And I mean, while a winning streak down the stretch wouldn't surprise me, I mean, we saw it from Atlanta, I think, last year or the year before. Yeah, the problem is, you and Tony, we've discussed this, is that you have an offensive-minded team that now makes a defensive head coach their guy. Like, you have Raheem Morris coming in, who hasn't taken a head coaching gig since 2011. And even when he was a coach, I believe it was the Buccaneers that he was the last head coach of, He went 1-9 against the spread in his last 10 games as a head coach. And Mike Zimmer, what can you say? I mean, he's still got a job. He's still one of the better head coaches in the league, in my opinion. He just had a rough go of things early on this season. But as far as spots like this, he's been moneyed 28-9-3 against the spread after a loss, 14-2-3 in that same spot since 2017. And, also coaches or teams that fire coaches mid-season have only covered in 14 of the last 37 games since the turn of the millennium. I'm going to take the Minnesota Vikings here, laying the 4 points. I think they're a strong play. I think they win this one by at least a touchdown. I think you just see Atlanta sort of just spin in circles right now, and I don't know when it's going to sort of turn for Atlanta.
Joe, we've seen these teams, they start off so slow, so badly, 0-5, a lot of pressure. They fire the coach, and it can go many different ways. They really take on the personality of the new coach coming in, and a big change for the team.
Oh, absolutely. And I feel bad for guys like Matt Ryan, some of the other playmakers on this team. There's talent on this team, but we saw the writing on the wall before this season started with Dan Quinn. And I'll be honest with you, when you've got as much talent as they have on offense, I mean, get a couple of defenders. I mean, you've got to do something. This isn't the first year. This isn't the second year. They've had trouble in this issue. I will tell you this. I think there's as much or more talent on this team than a couple of teams that have 2 or 3 wins in the NFL right now. They just can't get their act together, which falls on the coach. Obviously, they can't stop anybody. Chris made a case that the guys on the panel could probably go compete with Tulane a minute ago. I'll tell you what, man, I'll be honest, man. If you got the guys on the panel to line up against the Atlanta defense, we could probably at least kick a few field goals for sure. But, this is a team that has talent. We love Matt Ryan. We liked him at BC. We like him now. He's a good quarterback. He makes good decisions. He just doesn't have the staff around him. They've had a running game. They've had an offensive line at times, but it's their defense. And listen, as much as the game has changed, where everybody wants to see everybody throwing through the air and this and that and the other thing, defense still is very important, and so is running the ball. You got to be able to run the ball so you kill the clock, put the opponent's defense on the field, and you've got to be able to slow up offenses. Atlanta just can't slow any offense. They're finding new and improved ways to lose. And I actually feel for this team. I don't feel for Dan Quinn. I mean, that guy's about I'm sorry. I'm not a big fan of Dan Quinn. I don't want to badmouth him. I don't want to say anything bad about the city of Atlanta. Great city, great sports city. But I feel bad for this team. I really do, because there's talent on the team, guys.
Absolutely. There's talent on this Atlanta team. All right. Continuing here on the drive-through here with Chris Ruffalo as he comes in with his play on the Minnesota Vikings, laying the 4 against the Atlanta Falcons. All right, Chris, we reached the bottom of the hour. What do you have going on over at Pig Dogs Premium?
I'm still going to have a player in the BYU Houston game tonight. I'm going to have to decide on that one. I'm going to put up there for $25 over at the website. Also, you know what? I'll admit it. I've been getting lazy, but tonight at midnight tonight, my price on my 3-day and my 7-day package are going back up. I'm even going to lower it tonight. 3 days, $49.95. That's as much as it costs you for one guaranteed package, just for 1 day's worth of picks. You can have 3 days worth of picks. You'll get my college. You'll get whatever baseball's left over the weekend. You'll get the NFL for Sunday. You'll get whatever plays we make for Monday. Anything else that's involved in there, I'm going to see maybe we can find a couple UFC plays in there. We'll take a look at that. But again, these 3 days, 7 days, and 30-day packages, they're all going to be your best investment, at least for the time being, until we start getting into college basketball, and then the NBA and NHL start up again. Everything's going to come to a head very soon, and you want to be on the right side with one of our handicappers. So you better pick up one of those packages.
Yeah, it's a good time right now. Pick up Chris Ruffalo's All Sports Pass. We got a 3-day, 7-day, or 3rd day is your best value right now, as it'll get you right into football and as into the heels of the start of the college basketball season. All right, continuing here on our show, we're going to not bring in because he's sitting right here. Joe D'Amico, you got some NFL on your mind here. NFC West, Rams at the San Francisco 49ers, an old school matchup going back for years. This one has the Rams favored 3. Total sits here at 51.5. Of course, Jimmy G, a lot of concern about his play. The Rams, they've been on the road a lot out east, but finally they got a West Coast road trip. So how do you see this one?
Well, actually, the side in this game is going to be one of my biggest plays so far this NFL campaign. But I want to talk about the under here. Obviously, there's no love lost between these two NFC West rivals. While they do not like each other, they certainly do know each other. 2 seasons ago, everybody remembers the Rams took both meetings en route to a Super Bowl appearance. Last season, flip-flopped. The 49ers took both on their way to a Super Bowl appearance. The 49ers, though, they're off back-to-back losses, including last week's embarrassing 43-17 thumping at the hands of the Dolphins. I mean, that was I was embarrassed. I went into my room, put my head under my pillow. And the NFL, and knowing that they've just to let our viewers know, they've had just about the softest schedule thus far in the NFL, and it's going to get significantly stronger now. Knowing that, I think that they're going to get a little bit better. Garoppolo and a few other cogs in the wheel are going to be back here. Harbaugh is going to make sure that they have a better showing. The Rams are playing solid ball. They're 4-1. This is a team that runs the ball quite a bit and then passes off the run. As a matter of fact, you're going to see both teams utilizing the rush here. You're not going to see too many mistakes. They're going to play a little tighter. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be an underdog. I'm not going to say it's going to be a favorite. You're going to need to get my big game of the month right here on Pick Dogs on Sunday. But both teams match up very, very well with each other's strengths. The under, 5-2 the last 7 meetings in San Fran, 10-2 in the Rams' last 12 as a favorite, 4-1 in the 49ers' last 5 at home. Take the under the total, guys, and I promise you, you're going to soar over the rainbow.
All right, you heard that from Joe D'Amico looking here at over the total here. Guys, here with the drive-through. We're just past the bottom of the hour here. A lot more picks coming. We're here Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern time. We got a lot of college football games coming up. It's going to be a football show, and we'll continue on. And let's go ahead and welcome. Well, when you go over to Pick Dogs and you see who's number 1 in college football, it's this man right here. So let's welcome to the show our man, Brian Bittler. Brian, how you doing? How does it feel to be on top, my man?
It feels very good, but it's even better to be on with my fellow bash brother, Joe D'Amico, every week, man. We're bashing books. So it just feels good. I'm looking forward to this weekend. We're going to absolutely clean up.
All right. So about how many games do you think you've got circled here that are possible premiums for this weekend in college?
I got 5 premiums loaded for Saturday and ready to go.
All right, he's got 5 premiums, so he looks like he's going to have a big card for you guys out there at Pick Dogs Premium. So take a look at Brian this weekend for college football. All right, Brian, you got a game here, Notre Dame and Louisville. And Notre Dame favored about 16.5 in this one. It's a big number, but, man, it's for a reason. They've looked pretty good. They look fast. Their offensive line opens holes. They make big plays. Louisville is a team that's had their struggles. How do you see this one?
This is one of my 5 premium plays for tomorrow, so I'm only giving the best here at the drive-thru. But Notre Dame really needs to win with impressive fashion. They want to hold on to that number 4 spot for a potential playoff berth down the road. Louisville coming off of absolutely getting dismantled by Georgia Tech last Friday, I believe it was. Louisville won 8-1 last 10 against the spread as road dogs. Also 5-20-1 last 26 versus a team with a winning record. Louisville is going to get absolutely hammered by Notre Dame. Lay the points. Don't worry about it. It'll be over at halftime.
All right, Brian Bittler, number 1 at Pig Dogs in college football, says go ahead and lay the lumber with Notre Dame. Chris Ruffalo, how do you see it?
Yeah, it's hard for me to disagree with Brian on this one. I mean, you saw how lifeless, for the lack of a better word, Louisville looked against Georgia Tech, and you know they don't call them the Ramblin' Wreck for nothing, because I'll tell you, this has not been a good football team for the last couple of years, and even in a transitional year, trying to still get that new offense under their feet. They just made Louisville look foolish in that game, and you know Notre Dame didn't have the best showing against Florida State. I'll admit that, because I was one of the people that was on Notre Dame in that game. I think this is a bounce back spot, so to speak, considering that it's hard to bounce back from a 16-point win. But I mean, Notre Dame knows that they're better than giving up 26 to Florida State. I think this one's a rout as well.
Yeah, it looks like a rout. I'm with you there. I was looking at that side too. Notre Dame laying the points here against Louisville. Joe, how do you? What's your thoughts here on the Irish, and how's the action coming on Notre Dame? How does Vegas handle Notre Dame? I'm very curious.
Well, Notre Dame for many, many years is on TV every Saturday on network TV. So they're always a fan favorite, and people love to bet them. The last several years, this is a very, very, very good team. They're good both offensively, defensively. They've got great linemen both sides of the ball. And I'll be honest with you, Brian Bittler told me today was Groundhog Day, I would throw my calendar out. When it comes to college football, Brian Bittler is the be-all, end-all. So I'm not going to disagree with him. I'm going to put on my little hat. I'm going to put on my pipe. I'm going to put on my green outfit, and I'll be running up and down here singing the Luck of the Irish. Because Brian is red hot in college. Well, actually, he's red hot in all sports, but right now he's on the top of the leaderboard among other boards in college football. You got to listen to what he says. You can't go. I mean, Notre Dame, little rust last week. So yes, as Brian and Chris both said, how do you bounce back from a win that Notre Dame had last week? But yes, I mean, Louisville is just atrocious. I mean, gone are the days with Teddy Bridgewater. Gone are the days of anything they had positive. I mean, Notre Dame. I believe this is the game where Notre Dame has to set forth and tell the rest of the top 10, hey, you got to deal with us now.
Yeah, they certainly do. Of course, we're looking at Notre Dame. Can get some tough schedules coming up. They got Boston College, but then they've got Clemson. So if there's going to be a spot where you got to be a little worried about it, would be next week, Brian, when they face BC with Clemson coming up.
Yep, definitely that. Hopefully it's not a look ahead at all for Notre Dame. They're going to be focused in and ready. But that's always a worry with teams like Clemson on the horizon.
Yeah, so I think if you look to go against Notre Dame, and maybe next week when they face Boston College, because then you've got that Clemson game coming up. But I think this spot here shapes up well at home in this spot against Louisville, a struggling team. All right, you're top of the leaderboards, Brian. Why don't you let everybody know as we hit the quarter till the hour, what do you have going on at Pick Dogs Premium?
I got two options tonight. If you want to get in on my college football blank check, write any amount, it's going to cash. Primetime game tonight around 9 o'clock, $29.95 at pickdogs.com. Or all 5 of my premium plays for tomorrow, 5 plays, $50, gets you my 5-pack at pickdogs.com premium pick section.
All right, great to get him that weekend card. But you know what? You've convinced me. Brian's the top of leaderboards. How about a 30-day pass? You got 30-day passes up there, long-term packages.
Absolutely. That's the way to go. You know, it breaks down to $75 a week when you get $300, $30. Yeah, $300 30-day pass breaks down to $75 a week. You can't go wrong. You can make that up in one day.
Absolutely, guys. So check out Brian Bittler over at Pig Dogs Premium. Pick up his 30-day pass, or if you want to just try him out, get him that plays his plays for Saturday. #1 college football documented over at Pick Dogs Premium. All right, Brian, it's always great to have on your show. You're the bookend guy, Monday, Friday, so we'll see you next week.
See you guys later. Thanks for having me.
All right, everybody. Be good, Brian. Have a good one. All right, everybody. Brian Bittler here on the Pick Dogs Drive-Thru Show. All right, continue here with Chris and Joe. I know, Joe, you got a game we're going to look at here. It's the big one. It's the big one. It's the primetime game. It's the you know what? Believe it or not, this is the bailout game. It's the last game on with all these COVID cancellations. You got the bailout. Could you imagine Georgia, Alabama, the bailout? It is. So you got to bail them out here, Joe. Georgia, Alabama. We're seeing 4.5 and some. We've seen a 1-5 pop up in this one already. So keep your eye out there. Total sits here at 58.
Well, guys, as everybody knows, with the word that head coach Nick Saban won't be on the sidelines due to COVID-19, this line dropped a bit. Guys, don't kid yourself. Saban's going to be in his living room with a headset on, and Bama has as many assistant coaches as they do players. Guys, obviously I'm joking a little bit, but their offensive and defensive coordinators, Sarkisian and Golding, guys, they each make over $1 million a season for a reason, and either way, it won't matter. Let's put aside the fact that Kirby Smart has got to be nervous here, as Nick Saban's teams are after he beat Jimbo Fisher and Lane Kiffin the last 2 weeks, is now 21-0 versus former assistants. Okay, Smart, granted, he has people talking about the Georgia defense. But let's be honest, let's talk turkey. Arkansas, Auburn, and Tennessee, they're 3 2020 opponents. They are not Alabama. The loaded Crimson Tide, led by quarterback Mac Jones, just might be the best offensive unit in the nation. They can pass, they can rush, and they are the top scoring unit in college football. They're averaging 51 points per game. And if you recall, sports fans, the last time a highly rated Smart defense faced an offense like this, They were demoralized in a 37-10 loss to LSU in last December's SEC title game, with the Tide offense keeping the Bulldogs defense busy and on the field. That's less time the Georgia offense has to match Alabama score for score. The Bulldogs 2-7 the last 9 as a road dog and 2-6 the last 8 following an against the spread win. The Crimson Tide 4-1 the last 5 at home and 6-0 the last 6 following an against the spread loss. The Alabama Crimson Tide shows just who owns the SEC. Take Bama here. I see 4s. I see 4.5. Excuse me. I see 4.5s. Tony mentioned he sees a 5. I'm going to tell you now, you'll see some money come in. This line might go down to 4, but I could take it because I'm going to tell you right now, Bama wins this game by at least 9 points or more, and they do show the rest of the SEC who's boss.
That's right. That's Joe D'Amico here on the Drive-Thru Show. Pick up one of his all sports pass now available at Pig Dogs Premium. You know, Chris, I'm with Joe. I like the Crimson Tide. I'll take their offense. But how do you see this one?
For me, I think this is going to be the marquee game for a reason. I mean, you got 2 heavyweights in the SEC, and I've said it before. I got family in Athens, so I have vested blood running down those lines in Georgia. And you know what? This is a big game on both sides. The thing that does scare me a little bit about Alabama compared to years past, the offense is fantastic. The defense, for whatever reason, though, feels a little bit shaky, and that's what's going to tend to happen when you have 5, 6, 7, even sometimes 8 guys go into the pros from a starting defense, and you have to keep retooling. Granted, Nick Saban brings in these guys, and they're just as good as the year before, but it's a little bit alarming to me that you put up 63 against Ole Miss, but you also allowed 48, and it's a little bit jarring for me going into this one. It's just going to be something that you have to watch, just something to take into consideration. But again, this like I said, this is the game of the night for a reason. It's definitely a game that I'm going to be tuning into. That's for sure.
Now, how do you factor here? You know, the run game's a little better going for Alabama. The quarterback, looking at Mac Jones' productions versus the side there for Georgia. Remember, the starting quarterback was 4th on the depth chart in preseason. You know, of course, they've had some players exit that program. So, looking here at the key positions, how do you look at how do you look at that way?
I mean, you had JT Daniels, who was supposed to be the next coming into Georgia after Jamie Newman opted out from Wake Forest, transferring in. And JT Daniels was solid for USC last season before going down due to injury earlier in the year. And it's just for whatever reason he hasn't been able to fully take the field this year. Now, Stetson Bennett's been in that learning tree for a couple of years now, and you're starting to see it, or at least early on, that he's capable. He can go 20 of 29, 250 yards, and hope that the rest of the team can pick him up. Again, like Joe said, Auburn, Arkansas, and Tennessee are not Alabama, but you know what? I still think that Stetson Bennett's going to go in there holding his own. It's not like he didn't expect this coming. We knew what the schedule was coming into the year. This is a circle game for Georgia. This is what they're preparing for. And I think that I just think you're going to see a battle. I don't think that it's going to be a situation where the moment's too big for Bennett. I just think that he's going to have to get himself up for this one. And win or lose, whoever wins, whoever covers this game, without a doubt, they're going to earn it. And that's the way that SEC football has been. That's the way it's going to be. That's the way it should be. And this is going to be a phenomenal game. I know I keep saying it. I'm not trying to beat a dead horse, but this is going to be a fantastic game. At least it's going to be a fantastic game to close out Saturday's schedule. That's for sure.
All right, our buddy Chris Ruffalo looking here at this Alabama-Georgia game, and I'm kind of teaming here with Joe looking at the Alabama side. All right, continuing on here on the drive-thru. Now time for our NASCAR. Let's get on the road here and bring in our buddy Jeff Jeter. Jeff, how are things going for you today, and how did your weekend go?
It went very well on Saturday. Last Sunday was kind of a disappointment, but hey, it's time to get back on the horse and have us a good weekend this weekend.
Absolutely. Let's keep it going. Give me a little recap here on that Roval event with Chase Elliott.
Yeah, just pure domination. That's about all I can say. So, we kind of knew it was coming, and hey, we're going to have to really eye that, going forward. So, but of course, this year we don't have any more road course races left, so it's time to get to the round of 8 in the Cup Series, and we're going to have a champion here in about a month. So.
Yeah, it looks that way. So why don't you let everybody know, get them up to date here on this playoff update. 8 remaining drivers. There's only 4 races remaining. What will the impact of this Holly Casino 400 have in this playoff chase?
Yeah, so we're probably, obviously we're going to get a winner that's going to, be locked into the final round in Phoenix. But, you got to keep in mind, too, we've got Texas next weekend. So if you don't necessarily get it this week at Kansas, you definitely got a shot at Texas next weekend because the final race of this round of 8 is going to be at Martinsville, the smallest track on the circuit, the paperclip. It's a beating and banging there. So if you're going to get in, if you're going to secure your spot in, it's actually, beneficial to go ahead and try to, get that win this weekend, knock it out of the way, and then just kind of cruise into Phoenix there for the last race this year.
Absolutely. All right. Joined here by Jeff Jeter as we're looking here at some of the race favorites here for the Hollywood Casino 400. We've got Harvick, Martin Truex, Hamlin, Busch. Do you have any dark horse that may surprise?
And yeah, I could probably see Brad Keselowski probably, getting up there on Sunday. We'll talk about that as it approaches too, because we want to see how things play out this weekend, through the odds and whatnot. But I do like Brad Keselowski a little bit this weekend, heading into Sunday's race. He's I think he's like 34th in points right now, so he's got to do a little bit of work, but. I think this is a good track for him to, get that win.
All right. Our buddy Jeff Jeter here joining us here on the drive-through. All right. We're going to actually get a college football pick from you, but first we've got a truck event going on tomorrow.
Yeah, we've got the Clean Harbors 200 to get the NASCAR weekend started off coming up this weekend at Kansas Speedway. So we're going to go 134 laps in the Truck Series race tomorrow, which will make up the advertised 200-mile distance there. I can't really go wrong with the favorite, Austin Hill, at plus 300 this weekend. He won the first race here at Kansas back in July of this year. Currently, Austin is tied with Sheldon Creed in the points in the Truck Series. So, both of those guys go at it. When Austin won that race back in July of this year, he led 65 of the 134 laps in that 200-mile race. So, I definitely see him, having a good run here. He starts 8th, so he's got a little bit of work to do in the first stage. But he's been very well on these mile-and-a-half tracks this year. But then, if you go back and kind of look at some recency bias, at some different tracks, at Bristol, he finished 25th. But then the next week he goes up to Las Vegas, he wins out there, and then of course at Talladega gets in the crash, finishes 19th. So, but I think Austin is going to be in one of his his good trucks here this weekend. So, I know he's a favorite, but at plus 300, he's actually one of the best favorites on the weekend, if that makes sense, as far as somebody who's going to win across the 3 national series. So,
all right, everybody, Jeff Jeter here on the drive-through. Of course, Jeff, we're going to get to your college football selection here. You're going to SEC, but first let everybody know for NASCAR weekend what we have going on over at Pick Dogs Premium.
Yeah, so for tomorrow, I'm going to be a little bit later on putting up a package just for tomorrow. If you want to take a test drive, if you will, with not only the Truck Series, but we've also got a doubleheader with the Xfinity Series following the Truck Series tomorrow night at Kansas Speedway, and then of course, we'll have your Truck Series, the NASCAR Cup Series picks. For Sunday, but I've got my 3-wide package over there for $44.95 right now. So be sure to check it out. Has some decent winner. It's great wins on Saturday last week. So be sure to check that out there at the Rolling.
That's right, guys. Check out Jeff Jeter over at Pig Dogs Premium. Get his best way to go is get one of his all sports pass. You want to get that weekend of NASCAR. Sometimes we have races Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and then of course you'll get his football as well. 7-day, 30-day pass now available. Check them out over at Pig Dogs Premium. All right, we're going to switch gears. We're going to switch gears from NASCAR to college football, and
that's right.
That's right. That's right. I'm picking this up. No, I mentioned something about NASCAR here, and something I noticed because I watched the races, and it's exciting stuff. I really enjoy it. I'm not a big fan of having the volume on when I watch sports, but I got to tell you, if you're watching NASCAR, boy, those announcers, do a great job of informing the public of what's going on in races. I'm very impressed with their work.
Yeah, they get a little excited, but we got to make the sport exciting sometimes too, even when we're in the middle of a race and we're kind of zooming around, there's going to be a scenario come up, right? So.
Oh, I know. I mean, I'm just amazed with the information that they get. Of course, they got access to the pit crews and all the information. They tune in the race. Could you imagine watching NFL and hearing Saban what he's telling his assistant coaches and the players on the field? Could you imagine that happened?
Well, I mean, could you imagine having a radio headset on and hearing your favorite driver just cuss a storm up to his crew chief too? So it's one of the most interesting transparent sports out there. Believe it or not. So.
Yeah, because on some of those pay-per-view packages, you can get full radio communications from all the drivers.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is something. All right, now we're gonna switch gears. We're in neutral there for a second. Now we're gonna take a look here at this football game between Ole Miss. Ole Miss is gonna be in action against Arkansas here, and a short favorite here in this one. People kind of going back and forth in this game. I've heard, and I'm kind of on that crew. Maybe they will outscore Arkansas, but how do you see this one?
Yeah, and I could see why people are going back and forth on it. I mean, if you just go look at this matchup on paper, I mean, you're seeing Ole Miss at 563 yards a game, Arkansas 330.7 yards a game. But you've got to understand. If you go watch the games, I mean, you guys know that. I mean, Ole Miss has just been in these barn burners and these track meets, with most of Kentucky and Alabama and whatnot. And so, this is the way it looks like Lane Kiffin's going to play the ball. Just basically no defense, and it's kind of a new element here to the SEC recently, I guess, But in this matchup, we've obviously, seen the opener in this at -3.5 for Ole Miss, now down to one or -1.5, and kind of going in. One thing I was looking at here, was that Ole Miss, they on third downs, they've been, they've converted 55.81% of the time on the other side of the ball. Arkansas, I know they've been in tougher matchups, but still, they've only converted 32.56% of the time. I see this one being close. I see Arkansas probably trying to slow them down. Keep in mind that Auburn last week to boot, they were in a big fight, obviously, to almost win that game. And now they're coming back home. I granted you that, but with a high octane offense and Ole Miss that even just put up 48 on 100-some point game against Alabama. I mean, that's just going to be all the more for Ole Miss to just take advantage. I think it's just going to be kind of the rhythm, coming into this, So, but one thing I did look at, Arkansas is 8th in the red zone defense. I mean, they've limited their opponents once they've got red zone, but they've not seen the likes of Ole Miss yet, and I just think they will try to drag this game out. But I think Ole Miss is just going to be too much for them. And keep in mind too, Ole Miss hasn't turned the ball over this season either. So, I think Ole Miss is going down to 1.5. That's just going to be right in the wheelhouse for me this weekend.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you on there, Chris. How you see this Ole Miss Arkansas game going? I know Arkansas has improved. They're not that that bad team we've seen the last few seasons.
Well, they have taken the right steps to bringing in pieces that are complementary to take at least a step forward, if not. I don't think Arkansas is gonna jump to a 5-win conference team this season after going 0-8 last year. But you bring in a quarterback that's had experience in Felipe Franks, who did well at Florida. You still got Raheem Boyd in that running back group. The defense held up against Mississippi State, and for all intents and purposes, it held up for a half against Georgia as well before Georgia woke up and decided to start playing football. But the pieces are there for Arkansas to start taking steps in the right direction. It's just as far as this game goes, we've seen Arkansas do their best work. They're 3-0 against the spread this season, but but all three of those games saw them as double-digit underdogs, especially against Alabama and Georgia, and winning against Mississippi State outright as a 16.5-point dog. Ole Miss in a game that's nearly a pick'em. I think they have the offense to just run circles around Arkansas here. I just don't think Arkansas has as many bullets in the chamber to fire shot for shot with Ole Miss here. I'm going to lay the points with Ole Miss in this one.
Joe, one of the hardest handicaps is whenever you have major schools, big conference schools, when you have that good offense, bad defensive team facing one of these lower tier teams in their conference. It's always tough. I know in the small conferences, you can a lot of times you can just outscore an opponent. You can do that, get away with that. But in these big conferences, I always find that to be difficult to try and cap that.
Oh, absolutely. And we see that in this conference. We see that in the Big 12. You see a big disparity between the top and the bottom. But you're right, Tony. I mean, it's. I agree with you 100%. I agree with everything Jeff and even Chris said. I mean, this is going to be a good game, and I'm looking forward to watching Jeff bring it in, man. I'm going to be on Jeff's side no matter what.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to be on Jeff's side on that one with Ole Miss. All right, Jeff, what you got? What's the football weekend looking over at Pig Dogs?
Yeah, so I'll have out a early package here a little bit later for you guys for tomorrow. And of course, I'll have out, later some primetime picks for you guys for tomorrow for college football, as well as the slew of NFL this week. So, great value is to pick up my 7-day I've got in there for $119.95. I mean, that is going to include not only just the football picks, but also the NASCAR picks this weekend, and plus I'll carry you through the week. So, with football getting some postponements with this COVID, it's a good package to have, when it comes to, if we're getting some Tuesday, Wednesday games. We went all week this past week with football. So, be sure to pick that up too. It's good value.
Absolutely. Be sure to pick it up from Jeff Jeter over at Pig Dogs Premium. Hey, when you said Tuesday, Wednesday, it perked me up because the MAC is coming back, right? We're going to get some of those Wednesday games, right?
Oh, man, we're going to have action. We're going to have Fun Belt during the week. I can't wait, man. This is going to be great. Plus some Big Ten coming back. I'm loving it.
I'm loving it, too. All right, Jeff, as always, great having you. Now, we're going to listen for you on Mitch's show, the morning show, 10:30 a.m. Eastern time. You'll find Chris. You'll find Brian Bittler. And you'll find Rod over there. So you're gonna be coming in, chiming in. You'll probably have some coverage on Saturday for the Xfinity race, and of course you'll have the big one for Sunday morning. Correct?
Yeah, absolutely. That's what we're going to go with this week, and looking forward to it. A bunch of football. We got a ton of racing. All three series going to be racing the next 3 weeks too. So be sure to check it out. We've got a ton of stuff coming up here for you, and I'll see you guys tomorrow morning, bright and early.
Bright and early tomorrow. You got to get that action for that Xfinity and get ready for that race for Sunday. All right. Have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you next week, Jeff.
All right, guys. Y'all have a wonderful evening. We'll see you tomorrow.
All right, everybody. Jeff Jeter here on the drive-through. All right, we're about ready to get into our soccer segment, and lo and behold, Chris Ruffalo, the co-host. You know a little bit about that Premier League, don't you?
Just a little bit. Sorry, just to circle back just to one thing. Tomorrow, we're actually going live at 10 Eastern. We want to make sure everybody gets those college football bets in. We knew normally in the past we were cutting it a little bit close. We want to give everybody as much breathing room as I have my stretchy pants on when I'm on the couch on Saturday watching football with pizza in my hand. I'll tell you that much. But
you have the coffee, the bagels, the donuts. You have the full spread for the morning show.
Oh God, yeah, and then we do the pizza for lunch. We do the giant catering plate of pasta. We do the gnocchi, and then when you get to the evening game for Georgia and Alabama, that's when we'll have the brisket on the smoker outside. So a little bit of something for everybody. But no, you know what, Tony, you're 100% right. Soccer, it's one of those things where it's just they call it the world's game, and that's me not trying to be cliche. It's a fact of life. It's the game that's played everywhere in the world. And here, I coach soccer a little bit, but that just all stems from me starting to watch the Premier League when I was growing up. And the Premier League, even though I'm full-blood Italian, it's the one league that I found myself following more than anything. But that just sort of branched out into a bunch of different leagues as well. Serie A, League One, Bundesliga, as much as Rod loves pronouncing Bundesliga, German names. Yeah, I love it all.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the World Cup, and even Olympic soccer I get into. I'll watch it, and of course now I definitely get into the Premier League and some of these World Cup qualifiers. There's a lot going on in soccer, Joe. I mean, every week I mean, it's amazing how you can play your regular league and then middle of the week you're playing in all these other tournaments for your country, or maybe, you've got World Cup qualifiers. It's amazing how these guys got to play so many games throughout the year.
You know what I really feel exciting, what I really love about it too, Tony, is a lot of these games, because they're played on the other side of the world. I mean, at all the wee hours of the morning, here in Vegas, we don't sleep. We sleep, we'll sleep when we're dead. But in the wee hours of the morning, we could turn on, and if you've got some packages and whatnot, you could watch soccer live. You could bet in game. You could have a lot of fun with it. And it's a very exciting sport. And I'll be honest with you, I'm not a big soccer aficionado. I stick to what I know and what I'm good at. But we've got Goran coming on, and he'll tell you, man. But any hour of the day, you can walk into a sports book first thing in the morning, 5, 6, 7 in the morning. They'll have soccer on. There is a crowd of people. It's very exciting. For decades, it has been the number one spectator sport in the world, and it's that for a reason. Over the last several years, it's come to surface that there's a lot of money that can be made on it, and it's amazing. And the fact that Chris touched on it, you touched on it, Goran touched on it. I love the fact that while it's nighttime here and our sports are done with, we could turn on the tube. We could go on our app. We could go on our phone with our app. We could go on our computer. We could bet and we could watch soccer live going on the other side of the world. There's nothing better than that. You got 24-hour sports, Tony.
Absolutely. It starts at usually 4:30 a.m. Pacific time, so it's early. And in our industry, Joe, on those weekends you get up early, so it's always good to have a game up, right?
Absolutely. And you know what? There's money to be made on that, Tony and Chris. There really is.
Yes.
Yeah. I think one of my fondest memories when I was back in Vegas in January, and I went back to my hotel. Before I went back to my hotel, I went to the Hard Rock and put $50 on 2 draws, and by the time I woke up in the morning, I'd already made $600, and I didn't even realize I was making money while I was asleep. It was wonderful. It was one of my favorite things in the world to do.
Absolutely.
So, Chris, when are you moving out here to Vegas with me?
Hey, Joe, we talked about this. You give me the word, I'm there like white on rice. It's not even a question. I
have a couple extra rooms here. You're more than welcome. You're good to go, man. We got the pool, just no skinny dipping because I heard about you.
Okay, first of all, that's the only time that you will hear the word skinny associated with me, is if you say the word skinny dipping. And for the record, I don't skinny dip. I have that Borat slingshot swimsuit, the one that's like the one piece that just goes up and over my shoulders.
All right. With that, it's time to let's welcome to the show our man Goran. Goran, I hope you're feeling all right, my man. This was a rough segue for you, going from that one piece for Chris Ruffalo to Mr. Goran. How are you, sir?
Yeah, I'm good. I really love listening to you guys. It's a lot of fun.
That is a lot of fun. Of course, I know we see your work over at Sports Chat. I've been checking it out over there, and of course, you put a lot of work into it. And of course, we see you do have a fantastic year with your European soccer. You cover all the major leagues. Obviously, the Prim. You see even the Championship, Serie A, La Liga. Lots to cover out there.
Yeah, there's a lot of games. There's 40 games every weekend happening, and we are getting Champions League back next week. So, and the Europa League, and then again we have the leagues. That's a lot of soccer happening through the week.
That's right. So, why don't you go and give us a little bit of a recap what took place last week in some World Cup qualifiers? Any surprises? Of course, we did have some of that. We did have some the tournament going on in Europe.
Yeah, we had the Nations League going on last week, and we had the World Cup qualifications in South America. No big surprises there. We have Brazil with 2 wins. We had Argentina with 2 wins. And then we had some Euro Cup playoff qualifications happening as well.
That's right, we did. And of course, we're going to look here at this week, looking at the Premier. Everton sitting at the top of the table, 12 points in 4 games, plus 7 goal differential.
Yeah, Everton is facing Liverpool this week. That's one of the biggest derbies in the EPL in the history of the game. And I'm not sure why Liverpool is a favorite in this game. They do have a few injured players. They're playing the Champions League next week, so I think we might expect some rotations. And I got to be honest, I would take Everton in their current form. I wouldn't dare stop in front of them. All
right, Chris, Everton, Liverpool. You like the sound of that one?
That is music to my ears. I will tell you that right now. We talked about off air. I'm an Everton fan, and coming in and seeing that we haven't beat Liverpool in the league in I think since 2006, and I've had more heartbreak in this derby than I can recount. I think one of my harshest memories is watching it 0-0 tie, and you got Jordan Pickford punching the ball in the air, just rather than letting it go over the bar, falls right in front of him, and you got Divock Origi on his season debut just heading into the back of the net with no time left. And I see Jurgen Klopp running around the sidelines like a buffoon. I wanted to throw a beer at the TV, but that's besides the point. As far as this one goes, I think Gordon had it bang on, and that's not. And that I may sound like a homer saying this, but you got Dominic Calvert-Lewin scoring 6 goals. Richarlison, the scoring boots haven't been there for him, but he's been enough of a threat that Calvert-Lewin still finds space to do what he's been doing. You got James Rodriguez, who, let's not forget, was a high-profile signing for Real Madrid that just never worked out. You're seeing what Carlo Ancelotti can do with when he gets the right players in that rotation. We're finally seeing Everton have a competent manager, and I was going to say David Moyes was their last competent manager, and that's even going a little bit of a stretch, but Everton, this might be their best chance. Alisson's out for Liverpool. They've got a bunch of injuries, like Gordon said, that they're dealing with. This seems just like a prime spot for Everton to at least nick a point. I'm hoping that they get all 3, but I think you can at least go with either a draw or an Everton win, especially at home here.
All right, in the States, 7:30 a.m. Eastern time on Saturday. So get up early if you're out west for that one. All right, Goran, Aston Villa. Third in the table here, three games, 9 points, 9 goals, plus 9 in differential in 3 games. Wow.
Yeah, you know what? People are getting really enthusiastic about Aston Villa, but not sure. We're gonna have to see how will they react after this international break, and I think I'm gonna wait a few more games. If they can win a few more games in a row, then I'm gonna start thinking they could end up in the top half of or even the Champions League. But there's another international break in November, and then there's that crowded schedule in the Christmas in the EPL, and I'm not sure if they have the depth to keep that going all season long.
All right, your thoughts here on this Aston Villa start here for Chris?
I mean, again, we talked about Liverpool and just how much I am not a fan of the Reds, and that's outside of the rivalry. And watching Liverpool get spanked 7-2 by Aston Villa in their last game before the break, that was an early Christmas present for me. And the problem is, and sort of piling on to what Gordon was saying, I don't think that this international break could have come at a worse time for Aston Villa. You're riding that high of that momentum after just beating the defending champions, who I believe only lost twice last year, and that was even with them clinching the league title with like 9 or 10 games to play. And and now the league has to pause, and you have to go play international games. It's just some bad timing. I think, again, Gordon hit it right on the head. You're going to see if guys like Jack Grealish and Ollie Williams can sort of keep the scoring boots going, and it's going to be tough. When you come back from that break, having the momentum subside, and then having to play a Leicester team that's playing with a bit a chip on their shoulder after narrowly missing out on Champions League last year, being exiled on the last match day of the season. And this is going to be a game to be very weary of if you're a constant Aston Villa bettor, that's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Goran, I was worried in their game against Brighton, and then it got uglier for Man U. 3 games, 3 points, 16 out of 20 teams. They're not going to be relegated, no doubt. Not with Fulham and I think it was Sheffield down there. But, man, there's a lot of pressure down this Man U team.
Yeah, and I think it's going down in the wrong path, and I think the coach Solskjaer is going to get fired soon if they don't win their next couple of games. But he's done a few good things during his tenure here at the Man U, but I don't think he's the right coach for this team.
Chris, your thoughts on Man U, this poor start?
The problem is, I think if you keep telling United fans that if it's not Solskjaer, then who's it gonna be? Because he was the guy that was brought in, and he was the next second coming. We were waiting to see that he was going to be the guy to lead Man United back to the promised land. And he has gotten some results and some development out of guys like Martial and Rashford. But again, you're still seeing the occasional blunder by David De Gea in goal. You're still seeing the defenses in shambles, and quite frankly, a 1-0-2 start is not a start that the Glazers, the owners of the team, are going to want to see. You know, this is a proud Manchester United team that feels that they should be higher than where they've been the last few years, and that this is a team that is tired of not contending for hardware in that league. And you know, it's Manchester United, again, another team that you wouldn't necessarily associate with the Europa League either. That you think they're back in Champions League, and luckily they are this season. But yeah, I'm with Goran on this one. I think it's the time is starting to run out for Solskjaer to get results, and they have to start coming quick, or else he's going to be on the hot seat as well.
All right, we covered Everton, Liverpool. The spotlight game for Sunday, Goran, Aston Villa and Leicester.
I think that's going to be a really high-paced game. We're going to see a lot of counter-attacks, one side, the other side, and I would take goals here rather than Leicester because they lost their last game against West Ham, and I think I would stick with goals here.
How do you see this one, Chris?
Yeah, I think at early glance, like I said, you got to kind of see where Aston Villa goes after this. I think I'd lean goals if you feel the need to bet this game, just because it's probably the safer route to go. I think we are going to see a fair share of goals in this one. I think a side's just too hard to call, especially coming back after the international break.
All right, we're with Goran Kuchar here on our soccer segment. Goran, you picked this game for your pick for the show. We're going to Serie A, Inter, and Milan.
Yeah, this is one of the biggest derbies in the Italian Serie A, and both teams had a lot of players on the international break playing for their teams, for their countries. And the worst thing is that Inter has 5 players positive to COVID now, and they really, those are some of their best players, and they are playing the Champions League next week, and they are the favorites in this game, but I wouldn't take them in this match. If anything, I would take goals or even side with Milan, who are getting Ibrahimovic back, and they will have a day more of the rest because they're playing in the Europa League on Thursday. So they're gonna have 5-day rest when Inter is playing on Tuesday, I believe. And like I said, I wouldn't take Inter here. Stick with goals, or if you want a better price, I would go with Milan.
All right, Chris, you had a comment about this one. Maybe looking at a side with totals.
I mean, and Corn brings up a good point now that I'm starting to look at the injury report of guys that are missing games with COVID. But you know, the thing for me is that Inter, they still have had AC's number over the last few years. I mean, AC Milan hasn't won it in this fixture in the league since 2016. And I mean, they still have Lautaro Martinez. They still have Romelu Lukaku to lead the front charge for Inter. And you know, as much as I like Ibrahimovic, there's only so much that he can do. We saw that with the LA Galaxy, and even on a bigger stage in Italy, there's only so much that he can do. I just think Inter is a more rounded out team. I do like the both teams to score option with the over at minus 105. I think you can also get. You can also get Inter to win and over 1.5 or even 2.5 goals at plus 170 and 230 respectively. I think you can also get Inter to win with both teams to score at plus 310 as well. I think those are some value plays if you feel that the side's worth taking. I'm going to go with history. I like Inter Milan in this one. Again, I may shoot myself in the foot based on the COVID players missing this game, but again, I think that's where you can find value in this one as well.
All right, here on the drive-through, here joined with Goran, Joe Migo, and of course Chris Ruffalo. Goran, it's a big weekend of soccer. Premier coming back, Champions League next week, so a lot going on. So what do you have going on over at Pig Dogs Premium?
Yeah, I had a good week with the national teams, and I had a package up since yesterday for the whole weekend. So that package started today with the PSG winning in the League One. And then we have another package for tomorrow with 7 picks already up. And of course, there will be something for Sunday and Monday, and then again for the next week, Champions League.
All right, so guys, check out Goran Kuchar over at Pig Dogs Premium. Pick up one of those long-term packages, 30 days. We got the Premier back. We're going to have Champions League, so it's a really big month here of soccer, English soccer, European soccer, the coverage you get here from Goran. All right, Goran, as always, great having you on the show. Have a great week, and we will talk with you next week.
You too, guys. It was a pleasure.
All right, buddy. Goran Kuchar here on our show here, and we'll continue here with Chris Ruffalo and Joe D'Amico. I know we have an in-progress game here going on, Rays and the Astros. At last check, Rays up 1-0, so low scoring as we thought here in this one.
Yeah, I mean, I fully expected a pitcher. I think this is a game where neither side's going to want to be the first one to blink. I mean, with Houston potentially knowing that a Game 7 could be on the horizon with a win, and Tampa Bay not wanting to let the Astros off the hook completely in this one. And I think you're going to see a lot of zeros on the board tonight.
It looks that way. All right, guys, now it's time for my free pick today. It'll come from Saturday college football, Boston College and Virginia Tech. You know, I was a big fan of BC last week. I'm coming back with them again, but this time I'm getting more points, plus 13. They're getting good production for that Notre Dame transfer quarterback, Phil Jerkovich, completing 65% of his passes, nearly 8 yards per pass attempt. And on defense, the team does a good job of stopping the run. But there's concern here is if you're going to take Virginia Tech, you're laying 2 touchdowns with a team that's allowing 484 yards a game, 225 rushing, 5.5 yards per attempt. And, of course, they do give up a lot of passing yards. And, of course, looking at BC, they've covered 3 of 4. Hokies, one thing to note here, inside the red zone, the Hokies red zone defense, opponents are scoring touchdowns 92% of the time against them. Got to take the plus 13 in this one here as we'll take up Boston College. All right, guys, back here on the drive-through. Chris, you had looked at that game, BC Tech.
Yeah, you hit the nail right on the head. I was looking at the points from the beginning. Because I think that this is going to be a battle. I think this is simply just a case of way too many points. I think this one's stays within single digits no matter which way you slice it. Whether you take the shot with Boston College on the money line as a dog, or you take Virginia Tech. I have this one being a touchdown game at most. When I first looked at it, I thought if I'm going to take the money line, it could be something like 24-23 Boston College, where you nick it out on like a last-second field goal. And if Virginia Tech wins this one, well, I think you're more than safe with 13 points.
That's right. Seems like a lot sometimes, Joe, to ask a favorite to cover almost 2 touchdowns when they're giving up close to 500 yards a game. It just something doesn't make sense to me when you do that.
Absolutely, Tony. I'll tell you, we've seen a lot of overvaluing. We see a lot of overvaluing college football the beginning of every season, but now we're 4 or 5 weeks, 4 or 5 games into the season, and I think you're seeing overvaluing here. You're perfectly right. I mean, Notre Dame transfer quarterback Phil Jerkovich. I mean, let's talk numbers, man. 5 TDs, more importantly, 0 interceptions the last few games. And to be honest with you, Eagles fans haven't seen those sort of passing numbers and the success in the passing game really since Matt Ryan was at the helm. And more importantly, they cover as an underdog role. They're 3-0 under new head coach Jeff Hafley, and they're like 17-5-1 overall, getting points since like 2017. I'll be honest, I had them last week on the website as a big play. I played them myself plus the points last week, talking about Boston College. I played a little bit on the money line, made a little bit of money with them. But this is a team that in this situation, I mean, you're right. I mean, Chris talked about the red zone defense for Virginia Tech. And to be honest with you, man, Boston College, listen, to be honest with you, I think you got a shot at Boston College winning this game outright. But if you're getting nearly 2 touchdowns, absolutely, I agree with you. You are on the right side here, Tony.
All right, that's Joe D'Amico here. Join me here as co-host with the Chris Ruffalo here on the drive-through. All right, now it's time to one of our favorite segments here is to look at the picks, the show picks, our recap. We recap the picks from every show. So let's take a look here at what we got. All right, we started. Was it yesterday when we started with Joe Duffy? No, we just started with Joe Duffy, and he was saying take Carolina Panthers -1 against the Bears, and then Joe D'Amico, BYU. This one kicks off in about an hour and a half. BYU -3.5 against Houston. Chris was on the Vikings -4. Brian Bittler, Notre Dame laying the 16.5 against Louisville. Jeff Jeter gave us a 2. He gave us the Truck Series, Clean Harbors 200. Take Austin Hill to win it at +300. Then he was on Ole Miss laying 1.5 against Arkansas. Gorin, Inter versus Milan. He's got this one. This is one betting selection. You select both teams to score and over 2.5 goals. That will return -105. Yours truly, BC, Boston College +13 against Virginia Tech. And I'll start here with Chris. Other than your pick, which one do you like the best?
Oh, man, it's hard to choose. I mean, it's like which pretty girl do I want to take to the dance? I think, Tony, I'm going to stick with your Boston College. And if I can have a slight backup, I go with Brian as well, taking Notre Dame -16.5.
Yeah, I look at that Notre Dame. And you, Joe, which one?
Well, Chris, I'll tell you, I'm going to see your analogy and go one better. It's like picking a blonde, a brunette, or a redhead. They're all pretty, but I have to say brunette because my wife is a brunette. But I will tell you this. I think there's quite a few really good games here. I think the Panthers are good. I think Chris's Vikings are good. I think Brian's Notre Dame is good. But I'm going to tell you, Tony, great minds think alike. Good-looking guys think alike. I'm going to go with your Boston College pick. I think they have what it takes to possibly win outright, but definitely plus nearly 2 times. That's a payday.
That's right. Put a little on the money line. That's the way to go there with that one. That's right. Plus 13. All right, guys. This is the drive. To reminder to our show Monday through Friday at 6 p.m. Eastern time. We'll come back on Monday. Of course, the Mitch morning show. Mitch and company. Chris Ruffalo will be on there tomorrow. Special starting time 10 a.m. Chris.
10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's correct. Yeah, it's going to be bright and early.
All right, then, Joe. Big weekend of football coming up. What's going to be on Pick Dogs from you? Got a big card coming up.
Big Dogs, I'll tell you, I've got something for everyone this weekend, Tony. Tomorrow, my Big 12 game of the month. I'm already want to know on Big 12 games of the month, my touchdown play, my odds maker's mistake, my sky's the limit. Sunday, forget it. It gets even better. Guys, all my winners for this weekend, and trust me, I have nothing but winners this weekend, will be up within 2 to 3 hours of this broadcast. Go there, buy a package. It pays for itself in no time. And the longer the package, guys, the more it pays for itself. It's icing on the cake. Go down there and follow Goran in soccer, Jeff in racing. Brian has been on fire in college football. Chris, look at him. Look at Chris, my favorite other Italian on the show. He is on fire everywhere. He's on top of the leaderboard. And I love Tony's pick this week on Boston College. Tony, I have to ask you one question.
Yes.
Your promo picture that you put up, I love it. I love your promo picture. I've never seen that side of you. I don't know whether you're a successful sports handicapper or a defendant and on a government trial. I love that photo. It's my favorite photo of all the photos. I love it. You got the best hair on the show by far. But no, you know what? We've got a lot of stuff for everybody out there. We've got soccer. We've got college football, pro football. We've got racing. We've got everything there is for anybody. This is a one-stop shop. Anybody, whether you're a sports fan, a sports bettor, a fantasy football guy, Pick Dogs is a one-stop shop for anybody. Follow us, and I'll tell you what, guys, you'll make money.
All right, then. Of course, one question we always ask Joe on Friday. What's for dinner? Are you hitting the strip? Are we getting a stone crab? Is it going to be a thick steak? What you heading out for?
Actually, last week we talked about stone crab, and we did go. The other night we had some great steaks, but I love the crab so much over Joe Stone Crab. I actually had a friend, true story, send me 5 pounds of Maryland crabs. They came yesterday. They're in my freezer right now. Tomorrow I got 5 pounds of Maryland crabs going on the grill. I'm going to boil them. Then they go on the grill. I got another crab boil I'm doing. Sausage, potato, asparagus, corn, all in one big boil. It's going to be a crab fest. I'm going to tell you right now, this is the first time I'm ever going to get crabs and be happy about it.
Oh, all right. Sounds good. Chris, what's it going to be? I know it was shawarma yesterday. So what are you coming back with today?
I almost said for Joe was that the third time's the charm, but no. You know what happened yesterday? We went for the shawarma place, and they were closed. They saw me coming. They heard the Jaws theme song. They turned us away. So we ended up going to a place up the road. But you know what? It's fine tonight. My fiance is quite the cook. She's doing cashew chicken, so I can't complain. I like my Chinese food. I like everything Chinese, the orchids or the orchids of Asia, Day Spa or whatever Robert Kraft was at. I like my cashew chicken on the side. You know what? Give me some sushi if I go to Japan. Whatever. I'm all over it. I'm all over Asian cuisine. So
all right,
that's what we're having tonight.
All right, everyone's gonna eat well because we've got a big weekend of football and winners. So reminder, guys, tune back in Monday, 6 p.m. Eastern for the drive through. All right, time to say goodbye to everybody. All the Pick Dogs for tonight. Have a great night. Win this weekend, guys, and then we'll talk to you guys